Another aspect of the Jewish background of the New Testament has to do with the temple. In the Old Testament, the first temple is built by King Solomon, who was King David's son. Now, prior to the building of the temple, the Israelites had a tabernacle or a tent that they carried through the wilderness after they were freed from slavery in Egypt. That temple was portable. It was brought around according to the Old Testament, and and after they got to the Promised Land, there were a number of shrines to God that were set up in various places in Israel. But one of the developments under King David is the consolidation of the religious cult or the center of worship in Jerusalem itself. And King Solomon, David's son, ended up building the temple. He was given permission by God and given power by God, and the temple was the place where God's name was believed to exist. Now, the temple had a inner sanctum called the Holy of Holies, which means the holiest place of all, and the priest was allowed to enter that particular room where they kept the most revered artifacts of their religion. He could only enter that Holy of Holies on a day called Yom Kippur, which is called the Day of Atonement, and only the high priest could enter that room. It was a very holy place, and on Yom Kippur, the priest would go in to that room and offer some sacrifices on behalf of the people for their sin for the year. And then outside of the temple, an animal would be brought in, and the priest would confer the sins of the people for the last year, and would dismiss that animal or have the animal taken out of the community to symbolize the removal of sin from the community. The reason that these things are important is first that Jesus also enters the temple, and the temple is a great focus in the New Testament, especially in the Gospels, the stories of Jesus. The temple that Jesus enters is not the temple that Solomon built. Solomon's temple, the first temple, was destroyed in 586 or so by the Babylonians as they invaded and took many Jewish people captive. So a new temple was built after the Jews were freed from slavery in Babylonia or freed from exile. And they came back to Israel and rebuilt the temple, and that's what we call the Second Temple. The Second Temple still existed during Jesus' time, but it was destroyed by the Romans in 70 CE. But the temple is still a holy place, and Jesus goes to the temple quite frequently in John and only once in the other three Gospels. But it is still considered a very holy place, and Jesus honors the holiness of the temple.